Speaker for approval for tabling today. And it was followed by, again, a document circulated to the member, which confused the process. And I'm really hoping that we can clarify this finally. And also to be able to get a clear timeline as to when, what time during Monday, the questions must be submitted for them to be properly vetted for tabling today. Because I think it's unfair that the member having submitted the questions for vetting yesterday, the approval has not come as yet. So I'm urging that a definitive statement be made as to what time on the Monday is a cutoff time for the tabling of questions, so that we don't have a confused state of affairs going forward.
I think on this matter, the Speaker has issued clear directions in relation to the questions to be submitted. I think my recollection is within at least 24 hours before one intends to table them. But this is a process. Once the questions are tabled, then the questions, in accordance with the standing order, have to be vetted, looked at, examined by the Speaker to ensure that they are in accordance with said standing orders. We would have gone through this process already. This letter, my understanding, with the questions would have come in yesterday, and the Speaker at the time has not gotten the chance as yet to look at it, and as such, the questions are not now here with us. As we can all appreciate, the Speaker is not in the House at this time, and as such, as such, based on the time when the questions arrived, and the Speaker not being able to peruse the questions at that time, the questions are not yet before us. I'm very certain that as soon as the Speaker can peruse the questions, once the questions are in keeping with the standing orders, then the questions will be so tabled at the next appropriate time.
It's my time. I think I was up before you. The member was before you.
Mr. Speaker, the standing order says the questions are delivered before the sitting of the House. The decision was that at least 24 hours before. If a member submits his or her question 24 hours before, it's no business of the member whether the Speaker look at it or not. It's supposed to be with it before the sitting. It can be 10 minutes before. It can be 10 minutes before. Okay? So if the Speaker says 24 hours, the member make them available to the clerk before. Okay? If the member delivered to the clerk 24 hours before, it's not the member's fault. So we can't say the Speaker didn't have the time to look at them. Why the hell did you ask for the 24 hours before? It's not the member's fault. The Speaker took 24 hours. The member filled his or her obligation. So it's not our business whether or not the Speaker look at it. It's our obligation to review it before. So don't tell the member this time. Don't tell the member. Don't tell the member the Speaker didn't get a chance to look at it. That's not unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. And we should bring the House to that level to come with this nonsense about they get a chance to read. Nonsense.
Before you, House Leader, let me just read from the standing order.
Based on my information.
Sorry, turn the mic on.
Based on my information, the questions were submitted at 3:41 p.m. yesterday. That is my information.
Members, before you all speak, I will be reading from the standing order as it relates to questions. Section 14, nature of question, subsection 2. Notice of a question may be handed by a member to the clerk during the period known as question time. Every such notice shall be signed by the member giving it. A member who desires an oral answer to a question shall mark his notice with an asterisk, and a question not so marked shall require a written answer, which, when received, shall be circulated with the minutes of the proceedings of the House. Subject to paragraph 5, a question mark for oral answer shall be put down for a day to be named by the member, being a day not earlier than 21 clear days after the question has appeared on the question paper. I am reading from the book, that's all.
Mr. Speaker, in adopting the position advanced earlier by the member from Southwest St. Catherine, I'd just like to say, Mr. Speaker, that anything can happen to the sitting speaker. And if we can advance now by urging the deputy speaker to also be in a position to vet these questions and to signal approval. So it need not have to wait on the substantive speaker to address these routine matters. And the section that you have read already, Mr. Speaker, it really is not relevant to the issue at hand. Right?
So, Mr. Speaker, I would have just gotten sight of the Speaker's ruling on this matter the last time that it came up. And what I said earlier was not a part of the Speaker's ruling in relation to the 24-hour period. What the Speaker had indicated in her ruling is that the standing orders are to be strictly adhered to. In other words, at question time, the member looking to table questions are to hand up the questions at that time. At that time, the questions, then there will be a vetting of the questions. It does not mean that the questions being handed up at this time, that the Speaker who is currently sitting in the House will be able to vet them immediately and to see if they are keeping with the standing orders. And to be clear, let me just read what was said. Standing Orders 15.2 provides us a notice of a question may be handed to the clerk during question time. So when the Speaker indicates question time, all members are reminded that strict adherence to this standing order is required to avoid confusion or conflict. So in other words, bringing it in before 24 hours, that's not the methodology, all right? So no, that's not what this is the ruling of the Speaker. Once received by the clerk, when it comes to question, once received by the clerk, each question must be submitted to the Speaker to enable the discharge of the responsibilities under Standing Order 16.2. That standing order empowers the Speaker to determine whether a question infringes any standing order or constitutes an abuse of the right of questioning, and to direct the question to be amended or entered in the order book with such alterations as may be necessary. The Speaker's review ensures that the questions are properly framed, comply with the standing orders, and may be tabled in an orderly and procedurally correct manner. According to Standing Order 15.2, accordingly, Standing Order 52 does not guarantee same-day tabling. Effective immediately, questions submitted during question time under Standing Order 15.2 will be received and reviewed by the Speaker. All questions will be tabled following the completion of the Speaker's review once deemed to be in full compliance with the standing orders. The procedure safeguards the rights of members, ensures the orderly management of parliamentary business, and confirms that all questions comply with the standing orders. Members are therefore expected to comply fully with these directions. As such, we can recommit question time for the member to submit to the clerk the questions. And then the Speaker will review the questions for the questions to be in keeping with the standing orders in accordance with 15.2. And once that review is done, then the questions will be tabled. Well, let us, you have a right to table in accordance with the standing orders. So let us proceed with that standing order. Yes. That is the Speaker's ruling, isn't it? No, that's the note. Just to be clear, members, I would have said earlier, and that was incorrect. What the Speaker has indicated is what I just read. That was her ruling that in keeping with the standing orders, during question time, the questions are to be tabled and then they'll be reviewed by the Speaker to ensure that they're in keeping with the standing orders. It's very clear. It was sent to all members.
Member from St. Catherine Southeastern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having followed the logic of the leader of government business and the ruling by the Speaker, what we are doing is concentrating the powers of a gatekeeper into the hands of the Speaker. Because if you submit something and the Speaker decides that it's going to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we can end up in a situation where the tabling of the questions will be delayed until the matter is no longer relevant. Now, where did this 24 hours come from? And why is it that we were referring to 24 hours and then the pushback to say that it was late by half an hour no longer stood? We're hearing now that it is going to be tabled during question time, and at the discretion of the Speaker, maybe this year the questions will be deemed appropriate.
Member, the ruling from the Speaker was from last December. So pay attention to that. It was from last December. So it's not just now. It has been here for at least a month or so.
Mr. Speaker, I rise simply for clarity. I was actually in the House one Tuesday afternoon when the Speaker made a big point about making sure that the questions came in time before. Yes, I was sitting here. No one told me. I heard it with my own 2 ears. In fact, the point that you have raised was the point a member sought to make. And he was made to seem as if he was ignorant to the standing orders. In fact, the Speaker did say that he should know better because he had been here before. And so I do not want us to just run across it like that and pretend that the speaker did not give us different instructions separate to the note that she has written. In fact, if you just allow me, I'm ending now. In fact, the problem has been that in trying to keep order, sometimes the speaker goes beyond, yes, what she is supposed to. And I think that just a little discretion and treating us as adults to listen to the points that we are making in that conversation could assist.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I'll start with the last point made by the member. One of the challenges that we've had in this house is probably that point about discretion. What the Speaker has consistently tried to do is to keep us in line with the standing orders. It doesn't have to do with treating anybody like children, but we are a parliament of rules, and the rules are contained in the standing orders. And if as adults we do not like the rules, if as adults we do not like the rules, we do not chastise the person who is keeping the rules. We use the processes to amend the rules. So it is very important that we do not misrepresent the approach of the speaker. And the beauty with this speaker, other than indicating her view, is that the speaker reduces to writing in very clear terms her position and rulings on matters. And what she does is to consult and then to issue a ruling. So on the 2nd day of December, 2025, on the Speaker's ruling on the House of Parliament documentation, the Speaker has a very clear ruling. So I ask all the members to familiarize themselves with the ruling. Secondly, to the member from St. Catherine, the standing orders does make the Speaker the gatekeeper. It is very clear. Standing Order 16 says, the 16.1 says, the right to ask a question shall be subject to the following general rules, as to the interpretation of which the Speaker shall be the sole judge. There's only one Speaker, and the Speaker has to be that judge. So again, to be clear, and I apologize to the House earlier in relation to not first consulting with the Speaker's very clear ruling. To be clear, when the House reaches the agenda item, question time, the member who is desirous of asking questions are to submit their questions to the clerk. The clerk will work with the Speaker in relation to the review of those questions. I appreciate the questions about time frame. It's one of the issues that the standing order is silent on. However, I am very sure, especially whether it be the Deputy Speaker or the Speaker, that it will be done in reasonable time. Reasonable is a construct of law. Reasonable time. Reasonable has to be depending on the questions, whether, remember, the Speaker is going to assess whether the questions fit in to the rules. So it depends. Member Bunting asked about 30 questions, 35 maybe, under different categories. You understand? So I understand everybody. There is no attempt to frustrate. It's an attempt to put a system in place. Let's stick with the standing orders. Speaker.
Question and answers.
Mr.
Questions.
Speaker.
Questions and answer to questions.
Mr. Speaker, I had indicated long ago on the mic, my mic has been on.
That's why I'm catching his eye now. And Mike has been on before the leader spoke.
Member from St. Catherine Southern, go ahead.
First, I want the removal of the member from Western Kingston. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.